Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston. Today we're covering this week's news. We have a fairly decent amount of stuff to cover, and it was looking to be quite a short week, and then we got a lot of stuff right at the end on Friday and Saturday. So let's jump into the first thing here. We have a big update for the Championship Finals prize support. We scroll down all the way to the bottom, and we see the cards that are going to be in the event packs. And a lot of them are, pretty much all of them are stuff that we've already seen before, but we're probably getting championship stamps on all of them, and which is just going to change the value of most of these cards. The Luffy inclusion in this set is kind of weird. I think it's actually misplaced and will be changed. But we get a lot of cards that we've already seen before, at least from the Japanese side. I think most of them are here in the US, and these are just going to be some form of reprint with a stamp. And I think that's going to go for most of these. It's going to be a card that we've already seen before, just a little bit different in art and with a stamp. Same thing like with the Luffy and a lot of these other cards that we're going to just jump right through. Which, it's not a bad thing to get these reprints and to give incentives to regional winners to go to nationals and play in tournaments. It's just kind of disappointing in some cases. Like, I believe these cards were released in Japan through like a special event. They're the Treasure Rush card arts, I think. And I think they got them fairly easily in Japan. Like 7-Eleven possibly, I can't remember exactly, but it's kind of disappointing seeing those in a very exclusive pack, because if you did want to pick up these, they're going to be a lot harder now. We also got Bonnie sleeves and the next set of packs here, which I believe is all new art for cards that we've seen before for the top players. And they're all cards we've already seen, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. We do get this incredible Drum Kingdom art. I believe it shows up again in the finalists down here. But yeah, it's all cards that we've seen. They're packs that are new for this occasion, and we're getting uncut sheets again. And I'm not sure if it's going to be this set or a different set by the time it releases, but this is the set with Boa. And this sheet includes, actually it's weird, it has multiple leaders, and then it has treasure rares and some alt arts at the bottom. So it's a pretty interesting sheet, probably pretty unique for what it is. That's pretty cool. And those are really interesting prize support. I like it in a lot of games that do that. And then we get Yamato third, second, and first place, where it looks like there are just slight differences on the texture of the text, which is pretty cool. Oh, there's a stamp too. It is what it is. But that's pretty much everything here. It's a pretty decent selection of cards, and nothing too exciting, I think. I think Law's probably, that's another one I think should be in other tournament packs, because this is a new reprint of this promo that Japan got fairly easily, which also would help the Law decks become a little bit more cheap, especially because there are a few cards that were only printed once and are quite rare now. But with that being said, let's jump into something I didn't expect to see already, a promo video for OP09. Okay, here it is. There's a lot of story going on here that we're just going to scroll past and get to the cards. So we got alt art leaders and a SR for all of the leaders that from this set. We're getting the manga close-up art for the leaders this set. Not sure if I'm a fan of these choices and the scale. I think we've seen better, interesting looking art for these, for leaders in general. But like, it's just super zoomed in. I think that's my problem with them right now. Is we get just a giant mugshot. I think they missed the opportunity to have the wanted poster or something more full art, because it's not even a full art. It's still bordered. I think alt arts in general look better than the leaders at this point. And then we get a new Shanks reveal for an SR. So let's jump into the cards that we did see. So we have our Shanks alt art leader here and a Ben Beckham SR. And this Ben Beckham SR reads, Ben Beckham, red character, 7 cost, 7k power, red-haired pirates. On play, trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 6,000 or less. As for one of the first red-haired pirates that we see other than Shanks, it kind of feels underwhelming, but when it, just because of a lot of cards that we're going to see and a lot of cards that have come out just have a lot of text, so they do a lot of things. And this does one thing once. But phrasing matters. When it says trash, that's super important, because then you're not going to get on KO effects, I believe, which is super important. And it kind of fits with what I imagine the red hair pirates are going to do, which is not allow your opponent to take advantage of anything. Make them weaker because we're so strong, and don't allow them to do what they're supposed to. So I can imagine there being other like ways of getting around on KOs or on plays and stuff like that, which is super interesting just to think about what is possible. But we got a lot of stuff, so let's keep moving. Next up we have Lim's alt art, which I didn't think Lim was a manga character. I thought she was Odyssey exclusive, so it's interesting that we get probably some pretty original art for her. I'm wondering if there was some promo pieces that Oda put out, and that's where they got Lim's full art for it, for this card. But the new thing we have here is our SR Audio Green character, 9 cost, 9k power, Odyssey. On play, if your leader has the Odyssey type, set up to 3 of your Dawn as active. It's pretty cool. When opponent's attacking once per turn, you may rest 1 of your Dawn up to one of your leader or characters, gain plus 2,000 power for the battle. That's pretty cool. Being able to restand 3 Dawn is great. Very limited to this leader currently, which it probably needs to be, because if you threw this anywhere near the Dofi archetype, you could probably be restanding most of your Dawn, which has diminishing returns at some point. But leaving it to this, we've seen this leader is really interesting with your characters coming in rested, so it's going to have a lot going on to protect your character so that they don't get KO'd before you actually get to do anything with them. And then that shows up on its secondary effect of being able to give 2,000 power. I'm assuming a lot of other characters, and there's going to be a lot of counter and probably events that also are going to boost power just to stay viable. I think that having your characters come in rested is going to be a tough archetype to build from. So they're going to have to do a lot just to get it to like a C tier leader. There's going to have to be a lot of support just to get it to be relevant at all. Moving on to our next set of cards, our King of Pirates, Buggy, and Crocodile here. Great art for Crocodile as well. Crocodile, blue character, 7 cost, 7k power, cross guild, former Baroque works, 1000 counter. On play, up to one of your characters' cards with cross guild type or with the type including Baroque works, and a cost of 5 or less from your hand. Play up to one of your characters. So on play a character with cross guild or Baroque works with 5 or less, which is a really interesting effect to combo with the Buggy, which I believe is tap 5, play a cross guild with cost 5 or more. I believe that's his effect, yeah. So cross guild from your hand with 5 or more with Buggy. So you play out Crocodile. Crocodile then plays out another character. So we have this field burst control that we're working towards with Buggy, which is interesting to see. Maybe like a spam deck where you get a bunch of characters. If Buggy gets Crocodile, Crocodile gets another really strong character that's at 5 cost, maybe a vanilla that is either cross guild or Baroque Works, would be a really good way to get 2 dominating characters on board in one turn for potentially 7 Dawn for as much as 12 Dawn worth of character on board, which is really interesting. And that's just this character. There could be other cross guild members that do something similar, that bring out a different, like a 9 cost that brings out a 3 or less or something. So there's a lot of potential to just have a bunch of characters on board for less cost than it takes, which is, I think, a good potential to have if all of those cards are good, and it can stand up to the removal that comes from the set and previous sets. So that's something to worry about, is you're paying a lot of Dawn to get more characters out, but then your opponent can just clear them the next turn. You end up probably losing that exchange in the long run. But let's see who else we got here. I think our next one will be Luffy. Yep, alright, it's Luffy. And if they could have pulled out just a tiny bit to get the full, just a tiny bit more of the frame, but this is probably a very similar art than the secret rare that came out a few sets ago. We're using the same pose for all Luffys at this point, so we're losing a lot of variety, let's say, in alt arts for Gear 5 right now. And that goes to say, I think there's a lot of options in even like the animation side, single frames that we could probably pick from that are a little bit more variety in art style, because the anime is going crazy with what it's doing right now, as well as just more frames to choose from other than just the one. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be more cards with the same art, so I just wish we can move past the one frame that we got and get something more interesting. But with that being said, let's get on to this Sanji. Sanji, purple character, 7 cost, 7k power, Straw Hat Pirates, 1k counter. On play, you may return 1 or more of your Dawn cards from play to your Dawn deck. This character gains Rush for this turn. Then rest up to one of your opponent's cost 6 or lower characters. I think that's an interesting phrasing when they could have just said Dawn -1 at the beginning. So they're doing this weird thing, and we saw it with the Shanks, and we're seeing it here with the Sanji, of things that used to be like color-coded, bracketed terms or something much more clearly readable for like an overall theme are getting more explained out, which I don't know if that's going to be a mechanical thing that's going to change. So this isn't Dawn -1 as a cost. It is a cost though, so I don't understand why it's changing in the details. But this is basically a Dawn -1, gain Rush, rest an opponent 6 or less, which is decent. I mean, it's interesting, and I don't really see how it fits with our leader, because it's only moving 1 Dawn back to the Dawn deck, so it's not activating Luffy's effect of when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck. So it's very weird. It doesn't quite fit. I'm not sure if, because it doesn't, yeah, I'm not quite sure why Sanji's effect is this way and why it's not a 2 or more so that you can get the effect from your leader. And it also has nothing to do with plus cost, because it's in the purple archetype. It's not in the black archetype of the Straw Hats that do plus cost. So it kind of just fits in a very weird space that I'm not quite sure what direction they're going for with the purple Straw Hats right now, and if we're going to even get plus cost black Straw Hats in this set. Very weird. Because I would expect them maybe to work better with either Robin or Luffy, and this is kind of somewhere in the middle of kind of not working with either. Speaking on Nico Robin herself, we get one of the first injured frames of Nico Robin, probably from the end of Alabasta, and we also get one of the most recent frames of Demon Robin from Wano. And this card reads, Nico Robin, yellow character, 6 cost, 6k power, Straw Hat Pirates, 1k counter. On play, if your opponent has 3 or more life cards, trash up to one of your opponent's life cards. So if they have 3 or more, trash one. Trigger, play up to 1 cost 3 or less yellow character from your hand. It's a pretty interesting card for 6 cost. If they're at 3 or more, drop them to 2. I mean, immediate damage is not a bad thing, and I'm sure you can build around that. And we'll have to see what 3 or less yellow characters are playable off of this trigger, because it might be worth just holding to get that immediate 1 damage by playing this. I guess you'll have to consider your options when it comes to playing against certain characters like Teach. You don't get this on-play effect, so the trigger's probably better. A lot of things to consider on that in that matchup against Teach. But decent card. I like it as a rare. I think taking 1 life off of 6 Dawn is quite nice, and you can set up for some pretty nasty things with life removal in yellow already, so not bad. Now on to Teach, like I was just like it was planned. Here he is. Again, I feel like the zoom in on the leader card could have been a little bit less. We won't harp too much on that. We'll move right on to this super rare character card here. Marshall D. Teach, black character, 10 cost, 12,000 power, 4 Emperors, Blackbeard Pirates, blocker. Activate main once per turn if your leader has the type Blackbeard Pirates, and if this character was played this turn, up to one of your opponent's leader effects are negated for the rest of the turn. After this, up to one of your opponent's character's effects are negated until the end of your opponent's next turn. That character also cannot attack. That's a mouthful. Like I was saying, the red-haired pirate stuff gets one-liners, and now we're getting Teach with a paragraph and a half of this card's going to do a whole bunch of things, and they're fairly thematic for the character. And that might be because we actually have a concept of what Teach is doing, and that's like taking powers, negating powers, and that's kind of more thematic in his abilities. But we also feel like we should get more out of Shanks. But anyways, so what we're doing here is negating a leader effect, which is kind of crazy, especially for leader effects that affect your opponent's turn, which is partially relevant. Yeah, because the leader effect is only negated during this turn, and then you get to negate a character effect and make them not attack the next turn, so you're stalling out a character as well. So it does a lot of stuff. I can't see any downsides from this. It has a lot going on, and the thing is it has a very key thing about it. And if this character was played this turn. So it has an activate main once per turn that can only be activated once. Again, keyword traits are super weird. Because it's a activate main, it doesn't get stopped by on plays, which the leader would do. And the once per turn is probably super important, so you don't just do this a bunch the first turn it's activated. But it's puts it in that Kaido category from the last set, where the Kaido could only activate his effect once per the turn that it was played, and it had the same like styling. So it would be ridiculous if it was more activatable. We might get an opportunity for it to be more activatable if we can pick it up and put it back down for cheaper or something. But for a single use, it could be pretty game ending. I mean, if you already have some board, like if you have a good board state and then you stop your opponent's leader effect for the rest of the turn, you stop a character from attacking and negate its effect, then you have a good chance of running past everything else. And we'll have to see how they incorporate keyword traits like blocker for negated effects. I don't know how that works. We'd have to look at the purple character that negates effects and see how they ruled on that. Because if it negates blocker, you target the blocker, and then you can run through and finish the game there and then, which is a potential that is quite interesting. But yeah, it's a decent setup for Blackbeard. He's got something really new and unique. And what we can not say about that is the Shinx that is a really good target for that Marshall D. Teach character card. Shinx, red character, 10 cost, 12,000 power. Yonko, red-haired pirates. All of your opponent's characters have minus 1,000 power. Also has the keyword rush. That's interesting, and also another single line effect that's could be more. He could have so much more oppressive things, and I think we would be okay because it's 10 cost. Minus 1,000 power is a permanent effect. It should affect your opponent on their turn and your turn, which is super important because being weak on your turn is something I believe that was almost exclusively retained on the King Leader, and this is going to be on a character card. It happens pretty late into the game, being the highest cost that you can play. And then gaining rush is nice, but I would want to try to keep this card healthy and ready to go so that I can have minus 1,000 power on all characters, and then maybe the next turn minus 1,000 power on minus 2,000 by playing a second one. Is that a bit much? It's possible. You might not need all of that, but with rush, you're attacking. I don't know. It feels underwhelming, but also just right. I wish it maybe destroyed stuff if they were at 0. If this minus puts them at 0, kill them, trash them, not even KO them, so that we don't get KO effects. I think that would be really interesting, because at 10 cost, I think about the Luffy from the starter deck that does more than this. And this is supposed to be a high level character. But that's all I got for you today. It was quite a bit, one of our longer episodes, of course, because we have so much to review here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this Shinx actually decent? Is the Teach broken? I want to know all your opinions on the cards that were revealed this week. Are you actually excited about Green Purple Limb, or is it also going into a binder never to be seen again? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe. And until next time, peace.